went to St. Vincent's Hospital for a period of days, and I, to this day, don't know how many days that was, and then was transferred to the Rehab Hospital of Indiana and spent months there. And of course, once I got there, of course, I realized that I couldn't move my left side at all. The prognosis from the neurologist at St. Vincent's was that I would be permanently paralyzed on my left side, probably would never walk again. My daughter was pushing me in a wheelchair at RHI down a hallway, and there were windows on the side, and I went to look outside, and I saw myself sitting in the wheelchair. I turned around to my daughter, and I said, "Leah, don't worry. I am not going to spend the rest of my life in a wheelchair." As bad as all this was, it was not going to win. I wasn't going to let it win. The therapists there were the ones who worked so hard with me in getting me to stand up again, to trust that, I would be able to do that and to be brave enough to take a step. The speech therapist over at RHI, whose name was Judy, said, "I have other patients who have an arm just like yours that's paralyzed, and they name their arm." And I said, "Well, that sounds like a good idea. Let's name my arm." So she said, "What do you want to name her?" And I said, "Well, how about if I name her Judy?" She looked at me and she said, "You're not naming your arm after me." I said, "Well, you brought this up. You name my arm." So she said, "How about Frida?" And I said, "Well, Frida sounds fine." And so that's how Frida became Frida. She came out of hibernation with a name. So those are, and the first miracle is, and the neurologists and the doctors all told me it was a miracle that I survived the 2 strokes, that I wasn't killed immediately, because they coined them massive strokes. And then the next miracle was that I was able to stand. I learned how to take a step and trust that my left leg would be strong enough to hold me up and not collapse on me. And it tried to collapse numerous times, but somebody was always there to, grab hold of me and straighten me up again. So without therapy, and it makes no difference what kind of therapy it was. And this is from the OT, working with Frida. This was with the physical therapist, helping to get the strength back, with a vision therapist, because as a result of the strokes also, I had what's called left neglect, or in the midst of these massive strokes, somehow my brain decided there's no left for me. She said, "Oh, well, there's no left." So consequently, I would stand up and walk into a wall. Most of the contact that I had with the therapists were with Molly and Angie, although there were a few others in and out, but they were constants there. And they knew how much I was determined to play golf again. Molly? No. She said, "Well, instead of going upstairs, let's go outside today." I thought, "Oh, super, let's go outside. Okay, a nice little change out of my room. Let's go outside. I'm all for that." Get outside, and there's kind of a little courtyard there. And Molly has a putter in her hand, which is the golf club that, if you've ever watched PGA, they use it only on the greens to hit the ball into the hole. So
I've never been golfing. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah.
And it was quite clear.
And she had a bag of wiffle balls that she'd gotten at Walmart. She said, "Okay, what we're going to do is I want to see you swing this golf club and hit the wiffle ball." And I looked at Molly like she was absolutely crazy. I mean, that was the beginning of me trying to swing a golf club to hit a ball with. So from there, I decided, okay, if Molly can talk me into this, Molly, who's never golfed, who knows nothing about golf, I'm going to call the golf pro at our country club and see if he can help me, which he did. And he did manufacture a new golf swing for me using one hand, using only my right hand, which my right arm and hand were just fine. He put a golf club into my right hand, and he said, "Now just hold on to it only with your right hand." I said, "Okay." And he said, "Now just grip down on the club a little bit." And he said, "I want you to take about a half a golf swing with this. Getting ready to take the club back to swing it, and here comes Frida out of nowhere, flying over here to the golf club to hold on, because that's what Frida always did, BS before strokes.
Which made me so proud because
And yeah,
that's what we were working on in therapy, was including Frida. And then the golf pro wanted her to just use her right arm, and I'm thinking, no, we want her to include Frida. And it just automatically happened, so that was wonderful.
yeah, Molly and Angie, of course, are thrilled about this. They're so excited. I said, so what's so exciting about this whole thing? I said, it's annoying is what it is, because of course I had no idea that Frida was flying around wanting to hold on to the golf club, but there she came. They said, well, don't you understand? It's your brain. There's pathways there. It's remembering to send messages. They said, this is huge. And it was. And I actually not only swung that golf club and didn't fall over, I actually hit the ball.
Oh, close.
I'll never be able to thank you for all you did for me. Not ever, not ever.
And I told Molly and Angie when I left Asbury to always remember on their worst days with their worst patients who are uncooperative and the hardest days that they're having with whatever that might be, to always remember that they are specially gifted to have become a therapist, and to always remember the help that you give in restoring people like me to a life, a different life, of course, than what it was, but to know that I still have a life. I just have to find a way to make it a little different than what it is. But without therapists, without therapy, and without people like this, I would never be where I am. And they are truly gifted people. I will never be able to explain to anyone how very special you are. And don't you ever forget it.
How can you not love this lady? Oh, thank you, Sue.
Just keep going. You can.